Hey everybody, this is Kyle Tucker. I just wanted to come to y'all today on this wintry day, January 21st. The high today is only going to be 30 degrees. So I'm here in central Alabama, around the Birmingham area, and we're having our coldest air of the year so far, so it's probably not going to get above freezing for 2 or 3 days straight. At this moment, South Alabama is getting 2 to 3 inches of snow. So areas like Mobile, Alabama, even Gulf Shores right down on the coast, even areas like New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, they're all being hit with snow right now. So I've got a lot of friends and family in Mobile, and they keep sending me pictures of, up to 3 inches of snow right now. And it's only 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and they're going to be getting snow all day long up until tonight. So that's very rare for South Alabama and the Gulf Coast to be getting so much snow. But it got me thinking, I wanted to come make a video and give some wintertime tips and suggestions on what you could be doing for your lawn throughout the winter. Now, this is going to be for warm season turf grasses like Bermuda, zoysia, St. Augustine, and centipede grasses. So I want to give a warning to the people down in South Alabama. Most of the lawn types down there are St. Augustine and centipede grasses. And there are still some people who have Bermuda and zoysia down there as well. But I wanted to set some expectations for you if you're watching this video, and let you know that you could possibly see some winter injury. Now, you may not see that winter injury until springtime, when the grass is starting to come out of dormancy and green back up. But with that layer of snow that your lawn is not used to seeing, you could have some winter injury this spring. So keep your eyes out for that as the spring comes on. So obviously our grass here in the wintertime, it goes dormant. This is a mixture of just a bunch of junk grass and weeds here. This grass is not treated with pre-emergent or fertilizer or anything like that. This is just out at the local park here. But there is some, wild Bermuda grass that's growing there that is dormant. But I wanted to set some expectations and just go over some suggestions that I have throughout the winter time. Again, it's January 21st at the time of filming this video. But the first thing I wanted to talk about is mowing. So the main question I get throughout the summers and the winters are, what should my mowing height be? For the winter time, you really don't have to cut your grass. Some people do, but you want your grass to be at a higher mowing height throughout the winter time. The reason for that is that you want your grass to protect the roots from freezing temperatures. So just like time periods like this, where we're going to see freezing temperatures for 2 to 3 days straight, the higher your grass is, the more protected the roots will be from those freezing temperatures. So this is the time of year where you just want your grass to grow kind of wild. Thinking back on the fall, so the last time you should have cut your grass was probably around Thanksgiving, or closer to Christmas if you like to have it shorter. But the main thing is that you do not want to scalp your yard going into wintertime. Because that obviously, your grass is going to be shorter going into winter, so you're exposing the roots of your grass to those freezing temperatures. So do not scalp your lawn in the fall or the winter. Just kind of let your grass grow a little wild. The higher the better, and then you'll decrease the risk of winter injury. So regular mowing is really not necessary during this time period. So that brings me to my next suggestion, or next question really, that I get is watering. And do I need to be watering throughout the winter time? So you don't. Our grass here is dormant throughout the winter time. Most people turn off their irrigation for the season, and that's fine. Winter is kind of our rainy season. We get plenty of rain throughout our winter months. So no, you don't have to water your lawn when it's dormant. But it does bring me to another suggestion, though. If you get your lawn treated by a company, or if you do it yourself, and you spray your lawn with pre-emergents, you do need to water in that pre-emergent weed control. So whether you turn on your irrigation for just one cycle and water in that pre-emergent treatment, that's okay. But if you don't want to do that, just allowing the pre-emergent to sit on the lawn for even up to a week or two is fine, as long as there's rain in the forecast. So it still must be watered in. Most people just let that pre-emergent get watered in by the next rainfall, and it usually works just fine doing that. So just a reminder, if you do treat your lawn with pre-emergent weed control, make sure you water that in. And those wintertime pre-emergent applications will extend the protection of winter annual weeds from emerging through the soil, but it'll also start protecting against your spring and summer weeds. The liquid pre-emergent I use is the most effective way to establish that protective barrier on your lawn to prevent those weeds. So here we are in mid-January, and I'm spraying what I call winter pre-emergent, but we're just preventing those spring and summer weeds from popping up. I also mix up post-emergents to help knock out any little broadleaf weeds that are trying to pop up as well. So setting expectations. Some of the most common weeds that we see this time of year and going into spring are weeds like poannua or poa or annual bluegrass. That's all the same weed, just different, people call it different things. But it's a grassy weed that often grows in the winter in Bermuda and zoysia lawns. But other wintertime weeds that I try to target include chickweed and hairy bittercress, henbit, wild onion. Dandelions are going to start popping up here soon if they're not already out. But something to keep in mind with pre-emergent is that it will not last as long as it should in thinner lawns. And I'm walking around trying to find, thin areas. Here's kind of a dirt spot here. But it's worth mentioning that if your whole lawn is thin and it has kind of wide open dead spots like this is exposed to the sunlight. So you can spray pre-emergent on your whole lawn, but if you have areas like this, now this is just a dead spot, there's no grass growing here, but thin lawns that are exposed to more sunlight, the sunlight breaks down that pre-emergent barrier faster than it does in a thicker lawn. So just remember, the thicker your lawn, the less weeds you will have. And you can target and control weeds that do come in, but it's always better to prevent them before they emerge. So that's why I fully believe in pre-emergent treatments throughout the fall and winter to prevent them before they start growing. So one of the last suggestions I want to mention is leaf removal. And I talk about leaf removal in most of my videos just because of how important it is. And this goes back to the fall, but one of the biggest fall lawn care chores is leaf removal. So you don't want your leaves to be sitting on the surface of your ground for a long period of time, because it sort of creates a blanket. It doesn't allow sunlight to penetrate the soil. So make sure you get in a good habit of removing your leaves throughout the fall. I suggest at least once a week, get out in your yard and blow your leaves or rake the leaves, however you like to remove them. But not only do the leaves block the sunlight from entering the soil, but even the area underneath those fallen leaves, it stays damp, and it's just a breeding ground for fungus that can possibly damage your turf. So just get in a good habit of leaf removal. And that's kind of the main chore that you want to keep up with throughout the fall and winter. And going back to watering in your pre-emergent, you really only have to water that in with just a 1/2 or 3/4 inch of rainfall or irrigation, but you want to water that in within 2 to 3 days of applying that pre-emergent to your lawn for best results. Now, I know I mentioned you can not water with, over a 2 to 3 or 1 to 2 week period, and that pre-emergent will still be fine. But for best results, you do want to water it in as soon as possible within 2 to 3 days for best results. Some pre-emergent can last up to 14 days without being watered in and still get decent results. But I always like to tell my customers, just try to water within 2 to 3 days. Some people do, some people don't. It's kind of a personal preference. I've never seen a time where the pre-emergent doesn't fully work without being watered in. But that's just kind of a personal preference. It's up to that customer whether or not they want to turn on their irrigation or not. Most people just shut it off for good throughout the winter. Here's a good section of weeds that I can point out that we're seeing this time of year. We got some wild onion here. Could be wild garlic. It's always hard to tell the difference. Some hidden bit growing right next to it. Again, it's January 21st, so these are weeds that we're seeing mid-January. Just all types of broadleaf weeds. A bunch of leaves here too. Let's see. Got chickweed. That mouse ear chickweed. Let's see. Usually if it's fuzzy, that's mouse ear chickweed. What is that right there? Can you tell me what that is? It's not henbit, I don't think. Is that purple dead nettle? Some type of broadleaf weed. Dandelions. One more chore that you can be doing throughout the winter months are killing these fire ant beds that are out in your yard. Let's see if they're active. Usually wintertime is a good time to come out and kill some fire ant beds. If you apply this product called Top Choice this time of year, that usually has, it's effective for 12 months. So if you do one round of Top Choice fire ant control through your yard. Now, Top Choice is not something that you want to apply directly on top of fire ant beds. But it's a granular product you can put in your spreader and just do a small area like this, and then come back with some Talstar or Bifin or something, and then just drench your fire ant beds. But the Top Choice is something that will prevent the fire ants from leaving their ant bed and building another one right across from it. So just go ahead and do your 5,000 square feet or whatever you want, 10,000. I think one bag of Top Choice is supposed to cover 10,000 square feet. So that's a good wintertime chore. Go ahead and prepare your lawn from fire ants in the spring. Well, my hands are freezing. I'm going back to my car, warm up with the heater. I hope you guys down in South Alabama stay safe with all that snow you're going to be getting. It's kind of a generational snow event that you guys are seeing down there right now. So enjoy it, but be careful. See you guys in the next video.